Enough fighting. We all know each other, and just bring Kusela to me. There's no... Did you understand a single word I just said?
All right, everyone, let's all just calm down for... Dehya. The boss, he died a long time ago.
What? We're back, my lady.
Oh, you're back a lot sooner than I expected.
Actually, we're still investigating.
I see. The clues you found...
Something like that.
You all look a little dispirited. Why don't you discuss it with me?
It's okay, my lady. It's not so much about...
So something is wrong. On any other day, Paimon would have already...
My lady, please prepare yourself.
The master. Okay. I understand. My father has...
Yeah, it makes as little sense. I've never doubted the Master's integrity, so maybe he's not actually aware of the full story and just stumbled...
I can't help but agree with the...
Huh? You mean you feel...
Thank you for sharing all this information. Since you've told me everything you know, I should all... In the past, I thought that my father hired a bodyguard for me so that I would... However, there are plenty of capable mercenaries in the Corps of...
About that. Well, the Homayani's really... Later, the Master told me that I was one of the best He offered me a pile of Mora, so...
Well, but that didn't really answer my question.
Maybe the Corps of 30 just didn't have anyone available, or maybe someone I think I get what you're saying. You think none of this...
Precisely. At first glance, nothing seemed strange or out of place. If my father had always been in contact with the Khan al-Akmar...
You mean... to go all along?
No, that's too much of a stretch. I cut all ties with my father a long time ago. He has...
But that still doesn't rule out the possibility that your father...
So, the Master was not likely an innocent...
Sorry we put all this on you so
It's okay, Paimon. I should actually, regardless of his reasons, if my father has truly been funding...
But is that really the right thing to do? My father has committed many atrocities and deserves all the However, the Homayani family... If we decide to investigate this further, we could end up implicating...
Dehya.
It's all right, Dehya. If anyone were to ask...
You don't have to do that, my lady. I'm not conflicted because I'm afraid...
Hey! It's still too early to give up hope! What was the thing about Right, yeah! Besides, there's no point on getting all riled up before we...
Thank you, everyone. That makes... In which case, my lady...
Sure thing. I also hope...
Usual place?
Thank you for coming, sir. Please allow me to introduce these...
Yes, my daughter has... But we may skip all the pleasantries for now.
Well, we wanted to bring this transaction...
So, that's what you found?
If you wouldn't mind, we'd...
Well, it's a long and difficult story. What I do know, though, Dehya, is that the truth...
Wait, me...
Yes. I understand perfectly why you came to... But knowledge always comes at a price. Your father, Kusela, and I... Of course, You have the right to seek and learn the truth. The facts of this matter may reduce everything you've built for. If you must proceed, then Kusela's heart...
His heartfelt efforts. I've made it this far in life without a single... I have my own ideals and ways of looking at the world, as well as people in... I came here today to support you as the head of the home...
I understand. Our family once needed to take a trip to the desert when they had superior numbers and quickly overpowered our bodyguard. Those Eremites were Kusela's men told me that the attackers were Eremite mercenaries, just like themselves. Kusela was grinning and walked over to play with baby Dunyazard.
Really?
He said that he had no particular reason to help us. We started talking about our children, and I said to repay his kindness. I hired his brigade to...
So, that's what happened.
It was many years before I saw him again. I almost didn't recognize him the next time he came knocking on my door. The man I knew to be strong and healthy had been reduced.
So, what happened to him?
I'm not too sure myself. The only thing that didn't change, he then suddenly asked me if Dunyazard, now that she had grown... At the time, Dunyazard was going through a particularly severe... But he kept coming back to the topic. Come on, it never hurt. I was completely lost at first, until he recommended...
So he was the one who recommended...
Indeed. He didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that he saw Deshret's relics as an evil group who would have... He was already beyond redemption, but... He hoped that if Dehya could stay in my house and keep working as a bodyguard.
And that's why you offered her such...
Yes, but not just because of that. And that's also why I tried to persuade you to stay when you asked for permission. Kusela saved my daughter and I all those years ago in the desert. I could never
He was always like that.
Kusela said that he'd reimburse me for a portion of Dehya's fees. Eventually I just accepted them as a token of his gratitude. And the letter contained a request to help him by...
Wait! Isn't that around the time that Dekan...
That's right. When I started to hear some but by then, he was no longer receptive to my requests to talk. That thought occurred to me as well. After some deliberation, I decided to send him... I am aware that even such a reduced gesture of support... In the end... It probably was the wrong decision.
If you can, please tell me where he is now. None of the things he's doing right now make any sense if all he wants to do is steer clear of me, then maybe he should...
Oh no, Dehya...
I'm just angry because I can't wrap my head around any of his Another way? I don't know. I knew him and he was not... But I guess you do have a point.
I'll do my best to help. Of course, I don't know Kusela's exact whereabouts. However, there's a man on the list named Jawed. He's responsible for supplying weapons, and I've heard that he likes to have a few drinks alone and enjoy...
Understood. Thank you, sir.
I'll stay and be with my father here. My father has indeed done something wrong, but I feel like our only course of action...
Yes. I am prepared. It's time to face my mistake.
I know what you've been up to. Smuggling weapons to violent brigades in the desert while working for the
Shh! Keep your voice down. Come with me. We should take this elsewhere. This place should do. Alright. Back to my...
Don't worry about that for now.
Wait. There's no need to jump the gun.
So what's in it for you,
Well, I was a little tight on... I waited in my mind, and I couldn't find a reason to turn the opportunity down.
Let me tell you how it is. We're investigating to if you provide some help for us...
Hey, why don't we discuss this a little first? Listen.
Shut it. My patience is running out. You should know when I'm...
All right, sheesh. But you gotta promise you'll put in some nice words. They're always on the move. Here's the spot they were. Feel free to go have a look. I'm just telling...
Sure. and then you can forget about any...
Hey, come on. Now you're just being
Really? And how do I know you're not leading us straight into a
All right, I get it. What if...
Now that's more like it. Let's move. And as for you, try to stick around this... Stay close. No going off on your own. The desert doesn't take prisoners. Seems like... Let's go. We'll finally get to the bottom of this ourselves. I'm here to see Kusela. Tell him to get out here.
Dehya, why are you here?
Let's go. We'll finally get to the bottom of this ourselves. Haven't you all done enough?
So you also need to stop us.
Stay out of this. It's got nothing to do with you.
Busted. Buckle up. You're dead meat.
No, she...
Enough fighting. We all know each other, and just bring Kusela to me. There's no... Did you understand a single word I just said?
All right, everyone, let's all just calm down for... Dehya. The boss, he died. A long time ago.
What?
Seems like you've been out of the loop for a while. Guess that's for the best, though.
When did he die? What happened to him?
A few years ago, Kusela broke up Dakan al-Ahmar and went to the Deshret's relics.
So is that when you guys started acting up?
We would prefer to call it taking revenge. Every last person in Deshret's...
Let me start from the beginning. Dehya.
Overwhelming strength and unquestionable...
Those were a part of it, yes. But just those on their own, regardless of whether they joined by their own will or were coerced. Whether it be their deepest sin, some unforgivable act, or their most immoral... That's precisely it. Every one of... But you, Dehya. You were...
I never even knew this was a
You were probably the only person in all of Deshret's relics who didn't...
Ever since you were born, Boss had been trying to shield you. Not only that, but he also banned all of us from committing any nefarious... But in the end, he was just an ordinary person. He was forced to go to headquarters again and again to account for missed dues and incomplete records. He'd come up...
We all knew he was doing that for you. He wanted to get you...
And that's why he became a shell of himself.
Wait, but that doesn't make any sense.
Because you were too young at the time. How would you ever tell between wounds when you left home after that final argument with him? He seemed to age by a decade overnight.
So, even the blazing beasts were...
Yep. It was all his doing.
A few years ago, Boss said he needed to make another trip to headquarters. He was already pretty weak then, and we all assumed he was going to get beaten again. I suggested that he hand the role of leadership over to me, but he said there was no longer any need, since Dakan al-Ahmar would soon be no... His words made no sense to me. But that night, we heard that a massive...
Everyone gained their freedom that night. Many members... But how could we leave with a clear conscience?
The boss can't have just died for nothing.
From that point on, The big fire that boss started was quite even though we're outnumbered. We vowed to see our revenge through to... There were people from headquarters who changed their names and went into hiding, but we won't let any of them escape our wrath.
We've suffered plenty of losses as well. All we can do is exchange our loot for more. We forged Boss's handwriting and sent out many letters to his form. We were also able to attract many mercenaries. Deshret's relics have become weaker and weaker.
Paimon doesn't know what to say anymore.
We do know right from wrong, but we were sinners from the very beginning. Boss always loved his old-fashioned. We used to always laugh at him for it. As for me, I never considered, but maybe those hero stories he liked. Maybe we were all just acting along with the play in the beginning. I'm sorry, Dehya. I know...
I'll go with you.
Huh? Dehya?
I grew up with these guys, and I know they're not bad people. All I know is that Deshret's relics must be Furthermore, I want to go see the place for myself. I know you don't want to get involved in this, so there's no need for you to tag along. I can do this on my own.
Yeah, Paimon feels...
Thank you. We'll...
I bet Boss would lose his...
Considering all the losses and injuries we sustained.
He can think whatever he wants, but the fact is...
Didn't run into much trouble on the way here.